Have you ever felt like a shadow in your own life? Ignored, overlooked, like your voice is just a faint echo no one hears. That bitter feeling of not mattering. It's as if you're invisible, as if your opinion and presence carry less weight than a feather drifting through the air, free-falling into nothingness. It's tough, I know. But here's the truth. If you don't learn to demand respect, you'll remain like a speck of dust in the corner, something insignificant to the world. Today, we're going to change that. I'm going to show you how to turn that powerlessness into an unstoppable force. Today, you'll learn what the Stoics taught us about earning respect from others. Listen, if you stick with me, you'll see how you can stop being that person nobody counts on, that invisible figure pushed aside. Believe me, when you understand your worth and project it to the world, you go from being ignored to becoming someone everyone respects and values. Are you ready to trade other people's disregard for admiration? Let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates what it means to demand respect and project your true worth. This is the story of Daniel, just another employee in a big company. Daniel had been working there for years. He knew every detail, every process like the back of his hand. For years, he gave his absolute best at his job, but it seemed like no one noticed his effort. At the end of the day, he just did what was expected of him. In meetings, his ideas went unnoticed. Sometimes others even took credit for his proposals. His boss barely even knew his name. Can you believe that? Decades of being an exemplary employee, and his boss didn't even know his name. Daniel felt like he didn't matter, like he was just a cog in a machine that would keep running without him. It's normal, he told himself. It's a huge company, we're just numbers. But one day, everything changed. During an important meeting, his boss unfairly criticized a project Daniel had spent weeks working on. All eyes turned to him, expecting him to shrug it off as always and accept the comment without a fight. But this time, something different happened. Daniel remembered something he had read recently. What you tolerate, you teach. He decided he wasn't going to tolerate being trampled on anymore. He knew his value and everything he brought to the company and his team. For the first time, he stood up for himself. He straightened up in his chair, locked eyes with his boss, and said, "I understand your concern, but allow me to explain why this project not only meets expectations but exceeds them. If you give me 5 minutes, I'll prove it." His tone wasn't confrontational or submissive. It was firm and confident. The room went silent. His boss, taken aback, nodded. He wasn't used to Daniel standing up to him. And in those 5 minutes, Daniel not only defended his work, but demonstrated that he understood the company's strategy better than anyone else. Even his higher-ups took note of his insights. That meeting was a turning point. Not because Daniel shouted or reacted with anger, but because he made it clear that respecting himself was his top priority. In that moment, he stopped being invisible. Those who had ignored him or made jokes at his expense started seeking out his opinions. His boss began to value him, giving him more responsibilities, and his career took an unexpected turn. But the most important change wasn't external, it was internal. Daniel realized that respect isn't something you ask for. It's something you project with every word, with every action. And this story isn't just about Daniel, it's about you. You have the power to demand respect, to stop being a shadow and become a presence that leaves an impact on others. In this video, I'm going to show you how. Are you ready to begin? 1. Stop being invisible. Stopping being invisible isn't about speaking louder or forcing people to notice you. It's about how you project your presence, even in the smallest details. Now, I want you to pause for a moment and think about yourself. How do you present yourself to the world? What do you do when someone interrupts you? Do you stay silent, hoping they'll eventually let you speak? Do you hold back your ideas so you don't offend others? Sometimes, being invisible isn't about what you do, but what you fail to do. It's like having a perfectly tuned guitar, but never playing it. No one will know what you're capable of if you never dare to show it. Think about this. You're in a meeting, and you have an idea that could be a game changer. But that little voice inside creeps in saying, "What if it's dumb?" Then someone else shares a similar idea and gets all the credit. You sit there thinking, "That's exactly what I was going to say." But you didn't speak up. Sound familiar? The truth is, if you don't show your value, no one will discover it for you. Here's something crucial I want you to understand. If you downplay your ideas or stay silent when you have something to contribute, you're sending a clear message. I'm not important. And the worst part? The world will believe you. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly. We often torment ourselves more over others' opinions than over the things themselves. So why let the fear of judgment make you small? That fear is just a chain you can break anytime. Let me share something fascinating. A study from Princeton University found that people who present their ideas confidently, even when those ideas are wrong, are seen as leaders. It's not so much about saying something groundbreaking or even correct. It's about how you say it and whether you convey genuine belief in yourself. But it's not just about what you say, it's also about what you tolerate. For instance, what do you do when someone makes a sarcastic comment behind your back? Do you stay silent, pretending you didn't hear it? Or worse, do you nervously laugh to avoid conflict? Friend, you'll agree with me, this doesn't earn respect. It only reinforces the idea that you won't stand up for yourself. So why do you do it? Is it fear of rejection? Isn't it worse to stay silent and become invisible to others? Here's something you can try today. The next time someone downplays what you say, don't stay quiet. Do what Daniel did in the story I told you. Pause, look at them calmly and say something like, "That's an interesting point, but let me finish what I was saying." You don't have to be aggressive, but you do need to be clear and direct. This simple action sends a powerful message. What I have to say matters. I matter. Now, reflect on your daily habits. Do you constantly apologize for things that don't need an apology? Do you laugh at jokes you don't find funny just to fit in? If so, it's time to stop. You don't need to apologize for your existence. Show the world that you're here to make a mark. Imagine you're a lighthouse in the middle of a storm. If you turn off your light to avoid drawing attention, the ships around you will crash. But if you shine bright, you'll guide others and show them your strength even in the chaos. In the end, stopping being invisible doesn't mean being the loudest person in the room. It means that when you speak, your words carry weight. That when you act, you do it with the confidence that your actions matter. Because here's the truth. If you don't value yourself, no one else will. So today I challenge you to turn on your light. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to show yourself as you are with all the confidence you deserve. Because when you do, you'll see how the world starts treating you like someone who truly matters. Are you ready to stop being a shadow and become a powerful presence? 2. Speak like a leader and you'll become one. How do you speak when you're in the middle of a discussion? Do you express yourself clearly? Or do you get lost in excuses and doubts? Do you say what you truly think? Or do you stay silent because you believe no one will take you seriously? Here's the problem. When you speak without direction or confidence, people not only stop listening, they stop respecting you. Think about the people you admire, those who grab your attention the moment they start speaking. What do they have in common? It's not just what they say, it's how they say it. Speaking like a leader isn't about using fancy words or delivering endless speeches. It's about conveying confidence, clarity, and purpose. And here's the secret. You don't need to be a boss, a politician, or a professional speaker to do it. Imagine you're in an important meeting. Someone says something that doesn't make sense, but they say it with such conviction that everyone nods in agreement. Meanwhile, you have the correct answer, but hold back because you doubt yourself. Has this ever happened to you? Speaking like a leader isn't about always being right. It's about believing in what you say and projecting that belief with confidence. Let me tell you a true story. Think about Martin Luther King Jr. He faced an overwhelming challenge, a deeply divided country, countless people suffering injustice, and a system designed to keep them silent. Yet, with his words, he mobilized millions. His "I have a dream" speech wasn't just a collection of inspiring phrases. It was a declaration of purpose. His calm yet firm tone, His conviction in every word and his powerful vision made people all over the world not just listen to him, but follow him, no matter how difficult the path was. The most remarkable thing? King wasn't perfect. He was a man with fears and doubts, but he understood something fundamental. When you speak with conviction, you inspire others to respect, value, and believe in you. That's what sets a leader apart. The Stoics had a clear teaching about this. Speak only if your words are better than silence. This doesn't mean staying quiet all the time. It means ensuring that what you say carries weight. Speaking for the sake of speaking, filling the air with noise, doesn't earn respect. But when you use your words to add value, to guide, or to inspire, people start seeing you differently. Now, reflect for a moment. How do you use your words? Do you speak with clarity, or do you backtrack at the first sign of criticism? Are you honest and direct, or do you hold back out of fear of what others might think? A leader doesn't avoid difficult topics. They face them with confidence. A leader is brief and to the point. You don't need to beat around the bush or overcomplicate your ideas. Get straight to the point and trust that your message is enough. Always focus on solutions. A leader doesn't complain or point fingers. They talk about how to make things better. People respect those who bring solutions, not those who only criticize. And above all, a leader connects with others. It's not about showing off your knowledge. It's about connecting with the people who are listening. When your words include others and make them feel seen, they'll relate to you, value you, and respect you. Speaking like a leader isn't a talent you're born with. It's a skill you can develop. Start by practicing in small moments. How you greet people, how you share your opinions. Every word you say is an opportunity to project your value. Remember this: when you speak like a leader, you start becoming one. And when people see that, they won't just listen, they'll follow. 3. Don't make promises you can't keep. Do you know someone who always promises incredible things but never follows through? Maybe that friend who says, "I'll call you this week, I swear," but never does. Or that family member who always promises to be there to help, but guess what? They always have an excuse not to show up. At first they sound convincing and you believe them, but over time their words lose all meaning. Why? Because their actions don't back up their promises. Here's the truth. No one respects someone who talks a lot but does very little. Respect isn't earned with promises or pretty words. It's earned through what you do, the decisions you make, and how you keep your commitments. Let me share something from my own experience. There was someone in my close circle who always talked about how much they cared about their health. They'd say, "Starting Monday, I'm going to take care of myself, hit the gym, and eat better." But when Monday came, nothing changed. I used to think, which Monday are they talking about? They'd order fast food, skip the gym, and fall back into the same old excuses. Every time they repeated those promises, people nodded out of politeness, but no one took them seriously anymore. Friend, respect slips away with every broken promise, with every word that your actions fail to support. This is what I want you to understand. If your actions don't match your words, no one will take you seriously. You might convince someone with a great speech, but if you don't follow through, you'll become a storyteller, someone people hear but don't truly listen to, someone from whom no one expects anything. The Stoics taught us that words are important tools, but actions are what truly define a person. You can't demand respect if your actions don't back up your promises. They believed that a person's character is revealed through their conduct, not their words. What does this mean? If you want others to respect you, you need to start living like someone worthy of that respect. Now, I want you to think about yourself. Do you promise more than you deliver? Do you say you'll change something but never do? Maybe you told your boss you'd start being on time, but then you were late again. Or you promised to listen to your team's ideas but skipped the meeting where they were shared. These might seem like small things to you, but believe me, even the smallest actions are noticed. The way you handle these little moments shapes how others see you. No one respects someone who isn't consistent. Think of it like building a bridge. Words are the blueprint. They might be impressive, full of details and big promises, but actions are the pillars that hold the bridge up. Without strong pillars, the bridge collapses, and all those words turn to rubble. So how do you make your actions speak louder than your words? Start small. Keep your promises, even the tiny ones. If you say you'll visit a friend, go. If you say you'll hit the gym on Monday, show up. Every time your actions align with your words, you're building that bridge of respect. Because here's the reality. When your actions speak louder than your words, respect comes naturally. You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to demand it. It just happens. So, friend, stop talking so much and start doing. You'll see how, little by little, people will start to see you in a completely different light. Are you ready to let your actions tell your story? 4. Respect starts with how you treat yourself. How do you talk to yourself when no one else is listening? Are you the kind of person who says things like, "I'm such a mess, I never get it right," or "I'm not good enough"? If so, let me ask you this. How do you think others see you? As someone respectable, someone who values themselves? Or as an easy target, someone to knock down at the first opportunity? Yes, friend, I know it sounds harsh, but let's be honest. Don't we often value others based on how they value themselves? It might be unconscious, but that's how we work. The way you treat yourself doesn't just affect how you feel. It also shapes how others see you. Think about that family member or friend who always puts themselves last. They accept any treatment, apologize for things that aren't their fault, and let others walk all over them. Now tell me, do you truly respect them? And I don't mean a quick answer. I want you to really think about it. Deep down, in the quiet part of your mind. What do you think of that person? Do you see them as an example? Someone to admire and respect? Psychologist Carl Rogers, a pioneer in humanistic psychology, said that self-respect begins when you accept yourself just as you are, with all your strengths and flaws. Without that self-acceptance, any attempt to gain respect from others will feel hollow. Imagine you're a mirror. If the reflection you show is one of insecurity, of a lack of self-worth, what do you think others will see? How can you expect them to respect you if you treat yourself like you don't deserve it? Don't get it wrong, friend. Respect starts within, not outside. Let me share a real example. I once met Juan, someone who always put himself beneath others. When he spoke, it was in a low voice, avoiding eye contact, and he'd apologize for the smallest things. If someone interrupted him, he'd stop talking without finishing what he wanted to say. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was how he spoke to himself. He'd say things like, "I can't do anything right," or "Honestly, I'm useless." And you know what I realized? Others didn't respect him, and they weren't even aware of it. Over time, they had unconsciously decided that his opinions didn't matter, that Juan had nothing to contribute. It was heartbreaking because Juan was smart, empathetic, and capable. But he didn't respect himself, so he was invisible. But let me show you that respect can be regained. I talked to Juan and shared what I saw. It was hard for him to hear, but he accepted it and decided to change. Slowly, he began to treat himself with more respect. Whenever he made a mistake, instead of beating himself up, he'd say, "It's okay, I'll learn and do better next time." And what do you think happened? Juan became a different person. That small shift in how he spoke to himself changed everything. He gained confidence to speak up in public, stopped apologizing unnecessarily, and earned back the attention and respect of his friends. That's the magic of self-respect. It doesn't just change how you see yourself, it changes how the world sees you. So, friend, I want you to think about this. How do you treat yourself daily? Do you give yourself time to care for yourself? Do you speak kindly to yourself, or are you constantly criticizing? Because here's the truth. If you don't start valuing yourself, no one else will. I challenge you to do something simple but powerful. Set boundaries. Say no when necessary. But don't just set boundaries with others. Start with yourself. Stop putting yourself down. Stop repeating harsh words. Stop thinking you're beneath others. Choose words that lift you up, not tear you down. If you make a mistake, give yourself permission to learn instead of punishing yourself. These small changes won't just transform how you feel. they'll change how the world perceives you. Because at the end of the day, the respect you're looking for starts with one person, you. What image are you going to project to the world from now on? The image of someone who puts themselves last, or someone who deserves to be respected? Decide now. And remember, when you treat yourself as someone worthy of respect, others have no choice but to follow your lead. 5. Treat others how you want to be treated. Ah, that timeless phrase, you get what you give. Have you heard it before? It might sound like a cliche, but there's a lot of truth to it. The way you treat others is like a mirror. It reflects what's inside you and projects the kind of treatment you'll accept in return. Now let me ask you, how do you treat the people around you? With patience, respect, and sincerity? Or are you quick to criticize, speak with disdain, or put your own priorities above theirs? Picture this. You're at a coffee shop and the server looks visibly tired. They barely smile as they take your order. You have two choices. You can treat them with indifference, as if they're just another part of your routine, or you can look them in the eye, thank them, and speak kindly. Which do you think will leave a more lasting impact? Not just on them, but also on how others perceive you. We all know that person who treats others condescendingly. They always have a sarcastic joke, a cutting comment, or a way of belittling what others do. At first, their remarks might seem funny, but over time, what happens? People start avoiding them. Why? Because no one wants to be around someone who makes them feel small. No one respects someone who doesn't show the slightest respect for others. See the irony? The way we treat others is the way the world treats us. Here's the lesson. If you want respect, you must first give it. This doesn't mean being submissive or saying yes to everything. It means treating people with the same value you expect to receive. At the end of the day, friend, no one is better than anyone else. The Stoics believed this deeply. They taught that we should act with virtue, not because others deserve it, but because it's the right thing to do. Epictetus said our actions should be guided by our principles, not by how others treat us. But here's the challenge. We're often reactive. If someone speaks to us harshly, we respond in kind. You might think, I don't have to respect someone who doesn't respect me. And you're right, it's your choice. All I ask is that when you make that choice, you base it on your own values, not theirs. If someone doesn't respect you, you don't need to stoop to their level. That cycle never ends well. The key is breaking it. How? By treating others the way you want to be treated, no matter how they act. Visualize this. Your inner world is like a field. If you plant seeds of respect, patience, and empathy, what grows will be strong and valuable. But if you plant criticism, sarcasm, and contempt, you'll reap hostility and rejection. So what will you plant? Now think about your daily interactions. How do you speak to others? Are you the kind of person who truly listens? Or do you just wait for your turn to talk? Do you offer help sincerely or only when it's convenient? And here's a tougher question. Would you like to be treated the way you treat others? If your answer isn't a resounding yes, it's time to change. Start with small gestures. Thank people sincerely, listen without interrupting, correct gently, and acknowledge the effort of those around you. These simple acts won't just transform your relationships, they'll send a clear message to the world. This is how I deserve to be treated. And remember, friend, respect is a reflection. You can't demand it if you don't give it. So today, I challenge you to treat others the way you want to be treated. When you do, you'll notice something interesting. The world will start responding to you in the same way. Are you ready to plant the seeds of respect you want to harvest? 6. Your greatest value is being yourself. Authenticity is an act of courage in a world where it's easier to go with the flow and shape ourselves to fit others' expectations. But here's the truth. The further you stray from who you truly are, the harder it will be to earn the respect of others. Imagine Epictetus, a slave who, despite a life marked by oppression, had the audacity to teach about inner freedom and self-respect. Think about it. Someone with no power or rights preaching that true control doesn't come from external circumstances but from how you choose to respond to them. Incredible, isn't it? The slave was freer than his master, And yet today, we get overwhelmed by the smallest things. Someone speaks poorly of us, and we immediately try to please them. Someone criticizes us, and we rush to justify ourselves. Now tell me, what do you think Epictetus would do if his friends criticized him? He'd probably burst out laughing. He wouldn't lower himself to be accepted, because he understood something many forget. Betraying your essence to please others is the fastest way to lose their respect. In his teachings, Epictetus said, "First, decide who you want to be, and then act accordingly." That's the key to authenticity. Being clear about your values and acting in alignment with them, no matter how unpopular they may be. When you do that, you project strength and consistency, and that's one of the greatest sources of respect you can have. Psychologist Carl Rogers said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." Friend, you can't build an authentic life while trying to deny who you are. Imagine you're like a compass. If you let others influence your direction, you'll lose your way. But if you stay true to the north you've chosen, you'll always know where you're going, and others will notice it too. Authenticity isn't about forcing your ideas on others. It's about standing firm in them, even when not everyone agrees. So, what can you do to start showing your true value? Stop betraying yourself. It could be in a conversation where you hold back your opinion, or a situation where you give in out of fear of rejection. Next time, just respond honestly. You don't need to justify yourself or give lengthy explanations. Just be clear and direct. That way, people will respect you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. When you're authentic, not only do you feel more at peace with yourself, but you also inspire respect in others. People respect those who aren't afraid to show who they really are. So, friend, stop worrying about what others think and start living in alignment with who you truly are. When you do that, you become a force that no one can ignore. Are you ready to become the person you've always wanted to be? 7. It's not the loudest voice, but the one who masters silence. We live in a world where it seems like the loudest person, the one who imposes the most, always comes out ahead. But let me tell you something that might change your perspective. Real power doesn't lie in noise. It lies in silence. Think about the people you respect the most. Chances are they're not the ones who fill every moment with unnecessary words or constantly demand attention. They're the ones who know how to wait, who listen, who speak only when they have something truly worth saying. That's the true mastery of silence. Not just staying quiet, but turning that silence into a powerful tool that speaks volumes for you. Picture this. You're watching a heated argument. Everyone's talking at once, trying to push their point of view. They interrupt each other, yell over one another, and the room is pure chaos. But there's one person sitting calmly, waiting for the right moment. Just being the only one silent already makes them stand out. You start to wonder, why are they so calm? Everyone else is losing it, but they're not even flinching. Then, when they finally speak, it's with such clarity and composure that the entire room falls silent. They don't need to raise their voice or insult anyone, yet they earn everyone's respect. Suddenly, the argument ends. Even if no one says it aloud, everyone knows who really commanded the situation. Seneca once wrote, "The louder a man roars, the weaker his reason." What a powerful truth. You don't need to raise your voice or belittle anyone to show your worth. In fact, the more noise you make, the easier it is for others to ignore you. But when you learn to master silence, that's when everything changes. When you choose your words carefully, everything you say carries more weight. Now, I want you to think about this. What do you do when someone provokes you? Do you respond immediately without thinking, letting your emotions take over? Or worse, do you escalate the situation just to grab the attention you feel you're lacking? Because here's the truth. Every time you react impulsively, you're not earning anyone's respect. You're losing it. Silence is like a taut bowstring. It may seem inactive, but it holds all the power needed to release an arrow with precision. That's your calm, your pause, your control. It's not about staying quiet to avoid conflict. It's about learning to speak from a place of clarity and inner strength that doesn't need external validation. Do you want to earn respect? Don't try to outshout others. Listen first, think, and then respond calmly. Words that come after a moment of silence always carry more weight than those spoken impulsively. Remember, it's not the roar that shakes the mountain. It's the silent earthquake that moves it from within. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you need to make more noise to be respected. Learn to master silence, because those who do not only demonstrate strength, but command the attention of the world. Speak less, listen more, and watch how every word you say becomes something no one can ignore. In the end, it's not the volume that defines you, but the power of your presence. 8. Draw clear lines. How many times have you let others cross your boundaries, only to be left with that bitter feeling that you're not valued? That mix of bottled up anger and sadness that makes you ask yourself, why do I always give in? Why can't I just say enough? I'll admit I've been there myself. I remember a time when I didn't know what it meant to draw clear lines. The people around me were constantly demanding more than I could give. Whenever someone needed something, I was always there. I'll never forget the moment that pushed me over the edge. A friend I hadn't spoken to in a long time called out of the blue, asking for a small favor. He needed help with an urgent project due the next day. And to be honest, his tone wasn't one of a request. It was a demand, as if it was my responsibility to solve his problem. I wasn't free. I had planned to spend the afternoon with my family after weeks of barely seeing them. But guess what? I said yes. I canceled my plans, spent hours working on my friend's project, and when it was finally done, he didn't even thank me. Instead, he made comments like, "Finally, it's about time." The pain I felt was overwhelming. Driving home that night, I felt empty, exhausted, betrayed. But the worst part? Realizing it wasn't his fault. It was mine. I had allowed him to cross every boundary I should have set. That's when I discovered the Stoics, and I learned a lesson that changed my life. Epictetus said, "Remember, you are the one who determines the value of your soul. If you sell it cheap, don't blame the buyer." That phrase hit me like a hammer. I realized I had taught that person, and many others, that they could trample on my time and energy because I had never set boundaries. Feeling ashamed, I turned to psychology for answers. I learned that people who set clear boundaries aren't just more respected, they have healthier, more balanced relationships. Saying no when necessary isn't selfish. It's protecting what's most valuable: your time, your energy, and your dignity. Think about it. What message are you sending when you always give in? When you let others take up your mental, physical, or emotional space? You're saying without words, "What's mine doesn't matter as much." Take whatever you want. But is that what you really want? Let me be clear. Setting boundaries isn't easy. At first, the people who are used to taking advantage of you will get upset. They won't understand. But does that really matter? Are they worth pleasing at any cost? It's like building a wall around a castle. You're not isolating yourself from the world. You're protecting what's valuable inside you. Now you might be asking, how do I make such a drastic change? Start by identifying the situations where you feel your boundaries are being crossed. Maybe it's that friend who always expects you to bail them out, that family member who makes hurtful comments disguised as jokes, or even that internal voice that pressures you to say yes when every fiber of your being screams no. When the moment comes, speak calmly but firmly. You don't need to be aggressive, just clear. If someone crosses your boundary, say something like, "I understand what you need, but I can't do it," or "I value our relationship, but this is a boundary I need to uphold." These words not only protect your space, but also send a powerful message. I respect myself enough not to let others walk all over me. Remember this, friend. Setting boundaries doesn't make you less kind. It makes you stronger. Because respect starts with you. Draw those lines. Define your space. And watch how, little by little, the world starts treating you with the value you've always deserved. 9. Calmness is your greatest weapon. In a world where everyone seems to be competing to speak louder, move faster, and react more intensely, staying calm has become an act of rebellion. It might seem like winning an argument or proving your point depends on who makes the most noise. But the truth is different. Real strength isn't about reacting quickly, it's about responding calmly. Picture this. You're in a store, and someone blatantly cuts in line in front of you. You could raise your voice, make a sarcastic comment, or confront them head-on. But what's the point? In the end, you only escalate the conflict and leave feeling more frustrated than you were before. Now imagine another scenario. You take a deep breath, approach them and say firmly but calmly, "Excuse me, I was here first." You don't need to shout or stoop to their level. Just hold your ground. What happens then? That person, startled by your composure, will likely step back. And even if they don't, one thing is clear to everyone. You control the situation without losing your cool. This isn't about teaching the other person a lesson. It's about you. You project self-control, confidence, and strength without making a scene. That, my friend, is what earns instant respect from others. The Stoics understood this power better than most. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This means that every time you choose calm over a knee-jerk reaction, you're demonstrating immense strength. It's not about suppressing your emotions, it's about using them wisely, deciding when and how to act, instead of letting the moment control you. According to psychologist Daniel Goleman, author of Emotional Intelligence, people who manage their emotions under stress are seen as more reliable and effective. But the most interesting part is that this calmness doesn't just affect how others see you, it also changes how you see yourself. When you realize you can stay composed in chaos, your self-esteem improves, and you gain the clarity to make better decisions. Friend, calmness is like a rock in the middle of a raging river. The water can crash against it with all its force, but it never moves. That rock doesn't need to prove anything. Its strength speaks for itself. That's how you should act, unshakable, self-assured, and unaffected by external chaos. How could anyone not respect you when you're as steady as a rock? Here's a challenge for you. The next time someone provokes you, instead of reacting immediately, take a deep breath. Give yourself a few seconds to think about what you really want to achieve with your response. That pause, though it may seem insignificant, changes everything. It allows you to assess the situation from a place of control rather than emotion. Another powerful tool is to listen more than you speak. Often the noise doesn't come from others but from within us, as we try to fill silences out of insecurity. But as I've told you before, silence can be a powerful tool. When you speak less and observe more, your actions become more rational and consistent. And what happens then? People not only listen to you more attentively, but they also start respecting you in a completely different way. In the end, calmness isn't a weakness. It's the greatest show of strength you can give. The one who stays calm controls any situation. So, the next time the world tries to push you into chaos, remember this: you're in control. And when you keep that control, not only do you respect yourself, but others will have no choice but to respect you as well. Did you know that the most respected people have another hidden trick? Don't miss what's coming next, because this is the key to transforming how others see you. 10. Lead by example. It doesn't matter how many times you say you deserve respect. If your actions don't reflect it, it's all just empty words. Let me ask you something. What image are you projecting through what you do every day? Because here's a truth that few truly grasp. Your example is what shapes how others see you. It's what you do that counts, not what you say. Think of someone like Seneca, one of the great Stoic masters. He spoke about the importance of virtue and moderation, but he didn't just preach it. He lived it. His life was a reflection of his teachings, and that consistency is why we admire him even centuries later. He didn't need to convince anyone with endless speeches because his actions spoke louder than words. When you live in alignment with your values, you don't need to demand respect. It comes naturally. People don't just listen to what you say, they observe what you do. If you want to be respected, You first need to become a role model, not through empty words, but through consistent actions that reflect your principles. Imagine your actions as footprints in the sand. Every step you take, every decision you make, leaves a mark that others can see. If you walk with virtue and confidence, those footprints become a guide for the people around you. But if you falter, if your words go one way and your actions another, the path becomes blurry, and no one knows what to expect from you. Here's your challenge: reflect on your values and compare them with your actions. Do you say you value punctuality but constantly arrive late? Do you speak about honesty but use excuses to get out of commitments? Consistency isn't easy, but it's the foundation upon which respect is built. Start by choosing one value that's important to you, and make sure your decisions reflect it. If you believe in the importance of empathy, show patience and truly listen in your conversations. If you value effort, demonstrate it through your actions, even in the smallest details. And remember, it's not about being perfect. We all make mistakes, but the key is acknowledging them and making things right. That humility is also a part of building a powerful legacy, because in the end, what you say might be forgotten, but what you do will remain. Your example not only inspires respect, but also defines how you'll be remembered. Are you ready to start living with the consistency that respect demands? Then start now, because every action you take is an opportunity to build the legacy you want to leave behind. Today, you have the power to create a turning point in your life. The respect you seek, that inner strength you admire in others, doesn't come from luck or your surroundings. It comes from how you carry yourself and what you show the world. Respect isn't demanded, it's inspired. And that transformation begins with every decision you make from this moment on. The world is waiting for you to show up as you truly are, strong, confident, and worthy. Are you ready to stop being a shadow and become a powerful presence? If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "Respect starts with me." That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are who made it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like so you don't miss out on what's coming next. I also invite you to check out our playlist, which you'll see on the screen. It's packed with ideas, stories, and advice to help you navigate life with more wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep moving forward together. Until next time, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.